extremely happy to be here. I'm Heather Quinlan, Brett Hagenbach. He is the construction manager for our works down at Talbingo at Lobbs Hole, and I'm the communications engagement manager, and I'm based in Quinlan. I just actually wanted to start by asking, or by saying, I suppose, that we're here because of Snowy 2.0, generally speaking, that's why we're here. I just wondered, is everyone really familiar with what Snowy 2.0 is? And that's not a trick question, it's just that some people know that it's a big project and it's here, but there's actually a surprising number of people who don't really know what's going on. So no judgment, but does everyone know what Snowy 2.0 is?
We're digging holes through the mountains to use hydroelectric.
Nailed it.
Pretty much, actually. That's
Cool.
pretty much it. Pretty much it. Yeah.
It should be good.
And it's very exciting to meet Erin, who is working directly on Snowy 2.0. I've worked on Snowy 2.0 for many years myself. First at Snowy Hydro, now at Whittens as well. But yes, there's a lot of tunnelling, and it is that expansion of the Snowy scheme. And as part of that work, there's a lot of concrete involved, and that essentially, Brett, is why we're here.
Correct. Yes.
Mr. Concrete.
So Whittens is a company that's been actually going for almost 25 years. So it may be new to the area, but it is not new in terms of its establishment as a company. A workforce that we have, I believe, in the order of a total of about 230, 40.
Yeah, probably got about 230, 40 here, but we've probably got another 120 over in WA at the moment as well. So we sort of average anywhere from that sort of 300 to 500, depending on projects all over Australia. So.
And with a capability to grow to about 1,000, if necessary. And an certified company, so that means quality, safety, and environment, international standards that we meet. Family-owned company. Louise and Clayton Wynn are the owners of the company. Louise is the CEO and Clayton is the director and is the original concreter, as a matter of fact. So that's a little bit about the basis of the company. We do have an office in Cooma. I'll hand over to Brett because I want him to talk about the actual work that we're doing and on two locations. Lobbs Hole, but also Tension.
Yep. So I guess just from my point of view, I'm construction manager. So at the Snowy Hydro project, it's a very unique project for us, and that's why we earmarked it to come here and get involved in the project. And obviously, with the community as well is a big part in what we do. We can't do it without the local community. So on the work side of things, on each end of the structures, you've got Talbingo obviously one end, Tangra at the other end. On average, there's probably about 20,000 cubic metres in each structure. So you've got 20,000 one end, 20,000 the other. You've probably got up around anywhere from 1,000 tonne of Rio to go in both ends. That's just in the transition itself. And then the diffuser, which sends out, it's like a baffle, I guess, in a way, that feeds the water in and out. There's still another 12,000 cubic metres in there and still another 1,000 tonne of Rio in there. So it's quite a large project on the scope of things, but there's a lot of unique things here. I guess the big one for us was the actual crown, the concrete structure that sits at the top of the tunnels. When you drive through your tunnels through Sydney and Brisbane and those areas, they're usually only about 1.2 metres thick. These here are 3.5 metres thick. Okay, so a lot of this is to do obviously with the ground that's there and the friction that's going to force the water running through these structures. So the other one was it's got a 150-year lifespan, which is very rare for this sort of works as well. So it's a very unique project in not only where it is, but the actual structure itself as well. So we've been all over Australia in building concrete structures. That's what we do, and that's where our niche is, in remote areas. So we've been Miller, Port Augusta, Darwin, Newman, Perth, like all those WA remote areas, and central Queensland as well, and that's where our niche is, sort of thing. So we do have a very good culture on what we do from a safety perspective thing, and we do pride ourselves in our safety and what we do. So safety, quality, production is one of our main memes that we run off every day. So a big thing for me, I was only talking to Heather coming up here, it's good coming to these communities as well, and hopefully if there's any young talent that's out there or young people that want to get into the industry, I highly recommend us that, we can guide them through and to get somewhere if they want to go down that track, as an individual. So it's one of my big achievements is to see someone young come through and, they're a little bit boisterous and a little bit at times at their early days, but to see them actually develop into a supervisor or a leading hand there's nothing better than that for me from perspective. So, other than that, is there any questions or anything you just want to ask? But like I said, there's a lot of concrete involved in this job. There's a lot of unique structures. So your tunnelling on your transition actually starts as a square and goes into a circle. So that's unique on its own. So most tunnels will just circle all the way through, where this one actually, every formwork element is a different change. So you sort of, if you can picture it, but square going in the circle is very hard to do, and you've got these big traveller systems that sit in the middle, and they hold all your formwork up, and there's a lot of, it's like a big Meccano set that you put together. It's like building Lego as a kid in a way, when you brings back some memories. So, but you put it together and they roll in on a rail system. You pour your concrete around, then you roll it, obviously then shrink your formwork in, and then you roll it back out, and then you change all your moulds, all your skins on the outside again, and then you go again. So in your transition, there's 5 sections. You do your walls, and then you do your crown, or you do your inverts first, then your walls and your crown. So, and then in your diffuser side of things, which is outside the transition, is your 18 metre high walls out there, and you've got a concrete structure roof on that, which is about 2 metres thick as well. So there's there's a lot of fun and games there. It's a lot of concrete, so which we love. So
you lay concrete as they dig it, and you're behind them doing it, like forming up the tunnel.
Yeah, so the tunnel boring machines are obviously all gone
Ahead
through.
of you. Oh, they've already got,
Yeah, they're all gone through. We sort of come back at a later stage, and then we start doing all the concrete and the sort of, I guess we clean out behind them in a way.
Yeah.
And then we do the permanent structures in behind them. So yeah. Yep.
How many people do you have up there altogether?
Currently we've probably got, I think there's about 140 at 140 I think at Tantangra,
140 at
and there's about 80 at Telebingo at the moment. So we're hoping to make that grow at Telebingo shortly. And then the big ticket item for us is that powerhouse. We're not a company that's just going to fly in here for 1 or 2 years. We want to be here for the whole duration for the project. So,
do the people who live out there on site get to come into town, or do they just live out there and that's their life while they're on the project?
Yeah, we have got some local people.
Yeah.
I heard someone speaking about it before about a bakery. Berkeley, one of their sisters own the bakery there, and these things they brought in are unbelievable. They're a regular thing for our barbecue now. So, so the local people obviously they stay out on the camps. They don't come into town, but obviously their 7 days off they will be in town. So
yeah.
But that's where today for me is about meeting your local businesses, that how we can get you involved in us. And I'll tell you now, when the director comes here, we'll be coming here for tea. So, but that's, to me, that's what it's all about.
Where do these precast segments that have been made at
Yep.
Highway Flat, how
Yep.
do they fit into what you guys do?
Yeah, so we marry into them further down the track in a way. So we do, obviously I guess in a way that there's more friction at the ends of the tunnels, I guess, to try and describe it.
That's where you are.
Yeah, that's where we are. And the segments go further down the line, so yeah.
So the tunnel boring machines install the precast
Yeah.
segments. Our specialty and our skill, and there's very few companies that can do this on the scale Whittens do, is the actual in situ pouring of it, the forming it up, the engineering behind it,
Yep.
and the pouring of it in situ for the sections of tunnel that a tunnel boring machine can't be used.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been blasted out with drill and blast methods, and then we're doing the key structures there that are going to manage the pressures of the water through the 10 metre diameter tunnels.
And they're going to connect to these segments.
And they will connect to the tunnels that have been done by the tunnel boring machine.
Yeah.
So for example, at Tantangra and at Talbingo, we in the intake, which is where the water will go in and out, you can't actually launch a tunnel boring machine there. Because it'll be underwater. So they've dug out the 2 intakes, or the big holes basically, and they've drill and blast back to meet up with where the tunnel boring machine has gone, basically. And so we'll manage those transitions into those tunnels.
And that's quite a lengthy period, right? A lengthy intake, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like to lead up with the tunnel boring machine. It's
Yeah, so you've got like a tar race tunnel that they call as well, which goes through into a gate shaft, which is virtually that blocks the water off for any servicing. So you've got sort of feeds it in, and then it goes from a square into a circle, and then it goes into a circle further along, and then it goes into a gate shaft, they call it, which stops the water going any further if they need to stop it. And then it goes into another tar race, which is, I couldn't give you the exact amount of meters, but then it goes into these modules and from there on in. So
It's around 600. So
600.
Yeah.
where they put the tunnel boring machines into the ground, they have like the main head race or tail race tunnel, and then they have like the intake tunnel that connects, and that's about 600 meters. And then the final stage, once the fit out has been, all the segments of rings have been put into the tunnel, the final part is to break that intake area, the breakthrough. So I guess the progress on the project at the moment, I'm happy to give an update at the next business chamber meeting or whatever, but the construction's going really well, so we're on par with our best tunnelling rates that we've had so far on the project. We've got 3 tunnel boring machines currently operating, and we've got a 4th one which is on the way. So you may have seen last week we had the delivery of the main drive travelled through Cooma, which was one of the biggest truckloads ever to be transported on New South Wales roads. Went right through the middle of Cooma, and that's to build the 4th tunnel boring machine, which will be making one of those intake areas. So in terms of numbers of segments, I think it's 130,000 segments to construct, so concrete segments that are built at Polo Flat to construct that part of the tunnel, and then this is where Whittens will come in and do that transition area.
And so in terms of the kinds of local suppliers that we would be looking at, what sort of areas are we interested in?
Yeah, obviously the electrical one's a big, obviously our testing, tagging of all our gear, all that sort of stuff. Mechanically, like any breakdowns, all that sort of stuff, we try and use local on that. Or catering, come and have a feed. That's, let's be, where's a brewery? I think I heard a brewery here too. That'll be, I reckon that'll distillery, close enough, that'll do. But yeah, they're the things that, that we can use all those, especially for what we do. And, PPE, sorry. But yeah, like hire of plant, generators, all that sort of stuff. Anything to do with construction or building anything, that's, we get...
Is schnapps allowed on site?
Yeah, we'll do shots and smoke.
And look, just to finish up, it's, do appreciate that everyone wants to chit chat and network, and we're happy to talk to you individually as well, obviously. But I just wanted to finish up because my space is not with actually doing any actual physical building and being important in that respect, but my space is the community and communications, and we are, like Brett said, very intent on being here for a long time. We've already, in terms of community support, we've already supported the Snowy River Bears this season. We'll continue that for next season. We had support for the Snowy Trout Challenge, which we're delighted to see is going to be back on again in 2026. And generally speaking, what we're interested in doing, and this is something that is driven very much by the owners, Elise and Clayton, is that we can't be here and we can't operate properly without supporting the community, having the support of the community, and for them to be aware of who we are, what we do, and to understand, I guess, how we operate, and that is to the highest standards in every respect. We want to do the right thing by the community, be a part of the community, and that's why we've joined this chamber, and just encourage you to get in contact with on here, get in contact with Brett, or in fact Clayton, the owner, or myself in the office. We've got an office in Quinlan in the main street, opposite the car dealership there. You might drop in and say hi, give me a call, give us a call. like to talk to you.
Yeah, and I guess I want to reinforce that as well, just from the construction side of things. We are here to help the community and vice versa, you know what I mean? So call by the office at any stage and drop in all your restaurants and breweries, distilleries, electrical, all that sort of stuff. Just drop on whatever what you need to, and we'll try and work a way how we can get you involved in what we're trying to do here and achieve. And that's, like I say, it's even if you've got a young nephew or a niece or whatever that's wants to get into that sort of industry, we're here to develop them. Like for me, if we don't develop our younger kids, there is going to be nothing left for us. Like especially in our industry, it is hard, yakka. A lot of kids do divert away from it these days. They can't play it on a computer game or anything, but we need to bring those kids through. So, and we like to we come into these areas and, you never know what we can do or what we can find, but yeah, we definitely are. Yeah.
Great.
Anyway, thanks very much everyone for having us.
Thank you.